How often do you think about heaven? Certainly, our readings today make sure that to tell us to prepare for heaven. And in order to prepare for heaven, I was thinking about Saint Therese of Lisieux and how often she would reflect on heaven and the beauty of heaven. Saint Therese is, of course, the saint that's to the right of the Sacred Heart statue, the one with the Carmelite habit with the roses and the crucifix. Saint Therese is one of my very favorite saints. And I think because she was very real. She was a very emotional person, especially when she was younger, but a very passionate saint. Her desires were so big and so great, and she always knew that within God she would find the fulfillment of all her desires. That things of this world were only temporary and give only temporary satisfaction. But if you want true happiness, if you want true fulfillment, you turn to God. And Saint Therese knew this so well in her life. Within her own autobiography, she wrote that the Lord gave her an opportunity to see the pleasures of this world, and then she said, they're good, but she found them wanting. Only within God could she find the fulfillment of all her desire. C.S. Lewis has something to say about this. Quote, We are half-hearted creatures, fooling about with drink and sex and ambition when infinite joy is offered to us. Like an ignorant child who goes on to make mud pies in a slum because he cannot imagine what is meant by the offer of a holiday at sea. We are far too easily pleased. End quote. I always found that quote to be very profound. Everything short of God is going to leave us wanting. God is our true fulfillment. Saint Therese has this quote, "The world is your ship and not your home." Our time here on earth is limited, and heaven is an eternity. So many people say that time on earth is short, so you better enjoy it. But our gospel today, when Jesus shares that parable about the importance of being watchful, he says rather, eternity is long, better prepare for it. And as we are in this ship, as Saint Therese says, there will be stormy times that will shake the boat, but in those times we turn to the Lord and say, lead us, Lord. Here's another story about Saint Therese and how at a very young age she had her eyes on heaven. And this story always puts a smile to my face. When she was about 4 years old, she embraced her mother and said, "Oh, Mother, how I love you. How I wish you would die." And shocked, her mom said, "You can't say things like that." And little Therese explained herself, "Well, it's because I so much wish that you were with God in heaven." Saint Therese, as I mentioned, was a very passionate person, one with very deep desires. And one of the ways that she found God in her life was specifically through the relationship that she had with her family. Her family was a very saintly family. Both her parents are now canonized saints in the church. And then all her 4 sisters who reached adulthood also joined the Carmelite order. Very, very holy family. But she found within her family those relationships a reflection of her relationship of God, with God. A reflection of God's love. Her intense love for her family, Saint Therese wished that they would all be in heaven together. And why? Because in heaven, all relationships are perfected. A life in heaven won't be boring. It won't be twiddling our thumbs and doing nothing. No, it will include the relationships with our loved ones without any flaws. So when I think about this, I think there's no social anxiety in heaven. There's no problems. There's no drama. There's And the very best, the most beautiful relationships that you have right now will be intensified to its perfect form. To think that the beautiful love that you have for your spouse, or your children, or your parents, or your friends, all of these relationships will be perfected entirely. And that desire that you have for unity and oneness with each other will be entirely fulfilled and perfect. And why? Because it will all be before the face of Christ. It will be all in that context of a relationship with Jesus. All my words today utterly fall short of what the reality of heaven is going to be. But it's going to be that fulfillment of the desire that we have for truth, goodness, and beauty. Whenever we see something beautiful, I go to the Adirondacks, every once in a while, and when you're climb that one mountain, you're finally at the top of it, and you get to see the beautiful vista and the valleys below and the lakes. You just want to be one with that beauty. And you feel that desire of wanting to have a unity and oneness with that which you see. Or you think of the relationships that you have with your family, with your spouse, your children, your parents, and you just want to be one. You want to be one together with that is true, good, and beautiful. Well, in heaven, all those desires are going to be fulfilled. Think of this right now, brothers and sisters. If you knew right now how much God loves you, you would die of utter joy at this very moment. Our little bodies, our little hearts and souls just couldn't take it. And that is the tremendous love that God has for us. And this is something that St. Therese knew and understood so powerfully. And so right now, as we celebrate this first Sunday of Advent, we light the first violet candle, and we read from the Gospel of Mark, where Jesus says what? To be watchful, to prepare, and most importantly, to have hope. Certainly we have hope, even in this year of 2020, that Christmas will bring about peace, and we await the coming of Christ as a baby child in the manger. Those are all things that we prepare for in Advent. But there is another way that we also must prepare, that we await the coming of Christ in the second